Hi everybody, it's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog again. Thank you very much for tuning into my video. Today what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about some books that I read at the end of last year and the beginning of this year that I think kind of flew under the radar and that I think more people should read or know about and put on their TBRs, or if you've already read them, I'd love to talk about them with you. But I have a visitor today, so I thought I would introduce you. Baxter, come here. Come on. I told you I have 3 dogs. Come on. This is our oldest. This is Baxter Von Black. Say hi. He's our 8-year-old boxer and our biggest lap dog. He's 80 pounds of cuddle love, as you can see. He's actually been with my partner for all of his life since he was 6 weeks old. And he is our best behaved kid and also our biggest cuddle bug and space stealer. He's the one who tries to sleep on you even though he is 80 pounds, and he will probably sit here for the rest of the video perfectly happy to be on my lap. See, look at that face. Isn't he handsome? Yeah. So the first book I thought I'd bring up to you guys is, let me see if I can get a non-glare, Can't We Talk About Something More Pleasant by Roz Chast. I think that's how you say her last name. It's actually a memoir graphic novel. I read it last year. I want to say that I saw it on Books on the Nightstand. I want to say Michael Kindness had been talking about it. I didn't know who Roz was before I picked this book up, but she's actually a pretty famous cartoonist for The New Yorker. And she wrote this kind of graphic novel about dealing with her parents at the end of their life. Like, how do you deal with your parents when they get to an age when their bodies are kind of giving out? Her parents don't want to move out of their apartment in New York that they've lived in their whole life, but her mother keeps having accidents and her father is suffering from Alzheimer's. So she is having to deal with a lot of stuff. She doesn't live in New York City anymore. So commuting in, dealing with the health piece, going through their stuff, when her parents pass away, looking through stuff. It is a very, very powerful book about what happens when we have to deal with the fact that our parents are growing older. It's something that I've thought about a lot as my grandmother gets older, and as my parents get older. I'm really lucky my parents are really young, so I often think about what I would do in this situation, and Roz really kind of just meditates on that. And I think if you can see, let's see if you can see, she's just got a great style. She's got a great way of sort of drawing the phonetic, the frantic, that I really, really, really appreciate. I really, really loved this book. And it's a memoir, so it even hits closer to home when you're trying to deal with it. So that's Can't We Talk About Something More Pleasant by Roz Chast. I really liked it. If you haven't heard from it, I would recommend picking it up. The next book I'm going to tell you about is actually a small little book. Look at how tiny that is. Our Souls at Night by Haruf. Is that Kent Haruf? I don't know how to say his last name. I'm really bad with names. I'm really sorry with that. I had read probably his most famous book is Evening Song, I believe it's called. Evening Tide, Plain Song and Evening Tide. I got 2 of his titles mixed up. I've read Plain Song, and I picked this up because it was a book on the tournament of books last year. And he passed away right after this book was published, or during its publication, something like that. This book will make you cry. It is heart-wrenching. So let me tell you what it's about a little bit. So this is the story of a woman in her 70s. Okay, he's going to get down for me, so give me a minute. So she's in her 70s, and she approaches her neighbor, who is also in his 70s, and they have both been widowed. And she comes over with a proposition. She has gotten to the point in her life that she is lonely when she goes to bed at night, and she asks her neighbor if he would just sleep with her. It's non-sexual, it's just for the companionship, just to kind of alleviate that sense of going to bed at night alone. And they agree. and they start this relationship. They know each other, but they don't know each other that well. And as they start to kind of develop a relationship, the implications of their relationship on their families and what people do and talk about is fascinating. This book was really eye-opening to me about how people of a certain age are treated and thought about, and how unfair that is. It's beautifully written, and I promise you, when you put this book down, if you're not in tears, you'll be in tears. There's no not being in tears. This book is just that amazing. I don't think a lot of people read it. I know a lot of people heard about it, but I really, really, really loved it, and I would love for more people to read it. So that is Our Souls at Night by Cant, Haruf. I really loved it. The next book I'm going to talk to you about is actually a much older book. I was introduced to the author May Sarton by Thomas over at hogglestock.com. I'll link his blog below. And he and I have an affinity for Barbara Pym, and he recommended reading May Sarton's novel on one of his podcasts with Simon the Readers, which I'll also link below, called As We Are Now. And I read that early last year, and it blew my mind. It's a short book, As We Are Now by May Sarton. I thought it was phenomenal, and I kind of became a May Sarton fanatic. And what I love about her is that you can go into used bookstores and you can find other books by her, older first editions. And that's what I did on what I would say Thomas would say is his favorite May Sarton, but I'm not sure. So I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he definitely raves about The Magnificent Spinster by May Sarton. And this is an old copy. Look at how that, it's just a great cover. This is the first book I read in 2017, and it set a great tone. I told you in my first video I love books about spinsters. This is a woman who's a spinster by choice. She is a wealthy woman that decides that she is going to dedicate herself to education. Her family has a lot of daughters. They all sort of live in a house. They all make different life choices, but our main character really interacts with a bunch of different independent women, and it becomes kind of like, I don't know what, an epicenter for all of these people and the decisions they make in their life. I remember when I finished this book really being in awe of the way that May Sarton made me care about every person that touched the life of the main character. And I apologize, I can't remember. Jane Reed. Her name is Jane Reed. And by the end of the book, I wanted her to have written 6 more about everyone else that was in the book. So she's a great writer. And this book it's just so powerful about how people make choices. People judge us for those choices, but it doesn't matter as long as we feel like our life has been accomplished. This book came out a while ago. I want to say it came out in the 80s. So it was originally published in 1985. And I don't think enough people have read it. I don't think enough people have heard of May Sarton. I had never heard of May Sarton until Thomas, and I really, really, really thank him for that. So that's The Magnificent Spinster by May Sarton. I would also recommend As We Are Now by May Sarton. I've recently purchased a bunch of copies of her books, so you'll probably see them more as we go along. I really love her, and I think she's really great, and I thank Thomas for introducing me to her. The last 2 books I'm going to talk to you about both made it into my top 10 books of last year. I will link my blog post on that down below. I really think that both these books stood out to me, but I also think that a lot of people haven't heard about them. I've seen one of them pop up on a few booktube channels, but I don't know if the people have actually read it. So let me tell you about the first one, and I love this cover, so I'm going to get it nice and close. Isn't this cover beautiful? This is Miss Jane by Brad Watson. I had never heard of Brad Watson. He had one book before this that I think did fairly well. Heaven of Mercury was a finalist for the 2002 National Book Award. This novel is actually based on his aunt. She was born with a congenital, I don't even know how to explain it, but a deformity of her genitalia. And this was early, or actually it was late in the 1800s, early in the 1900s, when there wasn't really quite the medicine to fix the issue she had. And our main character is born on a farm, and she has this issue, and she lives. It's originally thought that she wouldn't actually live very long because of it, and she does. And she has to, the things she has to do just to get through daily life are amazing, and all she wants to be is normal and have normal interactions with people. She's kept out of school because of the issue that she has. I don't want to give too much away because I really want you to learn about it. The way that Brad Watson goes about that part of the book is very powerful. I also think that this idea that we all have something that's just, that could pull us out of what is considered mainstream and make us unique, and kind of alienate us, and how do we deal with that, and how do we turn that into a positive. The main character is a very, very powerful woman, very independent, and she really wants a normal life, but then she comes to realize that maybe that's not available for her, and what decisions she can make moving forward from that. So it's beautifully written. I say that a lot, it's beautifully written, but I really mean it in this case. And it's kind of got sort of a Willa Cather sort of feel to the area, to the way that the landscape is described, and with the way that the main character is such a powerful female character. I really loved it. I think it was nominated. I can't remember the name of the prize, but this year, was it this year? There's a prize that comes out where books that have some sort of medical aspect to fiction. I can't remember it. I'll try to find the link and put it below. But this was nominated for that prize, and I don't think it made the short list. I think it was on the long list, but I really, really loved that. That's Miss Jane by Brad Watson. I also have a review on my website of it, so I'll go ahead and link that below too if you want to hear some more. But I really, really really enjoyed this book. And then the last book I'm going to tell you about today was actually the #1 book I read last year for me. It was a tight fight with Homegoing. I really liked Homegoing. I know it's had some mixed reception on BookTube. But most of the year, Homegoing was my favorite book that I read last year, until I read this book. And it changed everything because of the unique perspective and just the way it made me think. And I never wanted to not be reading it. And that's Christodora by Tim Murphy. I kind of think the cover is really cool too. Christodora is a book set in the 80s during the AIDS crisis, or the beginning of the AIDS crisis. Christodora is actually a building where people live, and that kind of keeps everyone connected. And what I love about the book is I think we've all read a lot of stories about the 80s AIDS crisis and the gay male perspective. This book has that, but it also focuses on the straight females that dealt with AIDS at the time. Also, it goes in time to how the decisions of the 80s affected children that were born from those people. It's all interconnected. This family, it's a woman and a man who adopt a boy who has been orphaned because his mother has passed away. And it's about their relationship with him as he grows up, and all of the different things that happen to get him there. I am really, really amazed at the amount of stuff that I didn't know, that it taught me. Tim Murphy, the author of the book, he actually wrote a lot about AIDS. He is a journalist. You could tell that it's been something that he's very passionate about. He is also very good at describing New York. It comes out to California for a while, so you're in LA, kind of my neck of the woods. I kind of recognized it. I will say there are some tough parts to this book. There is a drug scene and an overdose scene that is really graphic, so if that's something that you're going to struggle with, I just warn you in advance. And it's all about art too. I forget about that part because I was so moved by parts of the book, but everyone in the book is an artist in some way and creates different forms of art. And I really just, I loved this book, and I really wish more people had read it, because I don't know anyone who's read it, and I would love to talk to them about it. I love the quote on the front. Christodora is a bit of Tom Wolfe, a streamlined City of Fire. I didn't read City of Fire, but I know it was very, very long. And well, something special all of its own. So I really, really, really loved, and I just covered my face, so I apologize. This was Christodora by Tim Murphy. I thought it was fantastic. I would love to know if you have read it, and if you haven't, please pick it up. Please pick it up and read it, and then talk to me about it on Twitter or in the comments below. I've been waiting for someone to read it. So, okay, well, those were 5 books that I read before I started my BookTube channel that I wish more people would read, or I hope people have read that I can talk to you about them. I'd love to hear from you below in the comments section. I'll try to link everything that I talked about below. I hope you enjoyed meeting Baxter. You'll probably meet the other 2 in other videos. So have a great weekend and enjoy your reading. We'll talk soon. Bye.